First contact deception. The Helios Confederation survey vessel Eternal Dawn emerged from hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Its crystalline hull shimmered with residual energy as automated systems began cataloging the local stellar bodies. First Officer Kazara watched streams of data flow across the bridge's holographic displays, her iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to a disappointed gray. "Another primitive system," she murmured, mandibles clicking softly. "Barely worth the fuel spent reaching it." "Patience, First Officer," Captain Vexthor rumbled from his command pod. His massive form, nearly twice Kazara's size, remained motionless as neural interfaces fed him sensor data directly. "The Council's directives are clear. Every system must be surveyed, every potential civilization evaluated." Kazara's scales flickered with reluctant acknowledgement. The Helios Confederation had spent centuries searching for other spacefaring races, hoping to expand their alliance of advanced species. Instead, they found only ruins, pre-industrial societies, or the occasional early space age civilization still struggling with chemical rockets. "Contact," the sensor officer announced. "Artificial satellites detected around the third planet. Primitive communications networks, orbital debris consistent with early space exploration." Their tone carried the weary familiarity of having made this announcement countless times before. "Life signs?" Vexthor queried. "Confirmed. Approximately 8 billion sentients on the third planet. Industrial civilization. Early space age development. They've reached their moon, but haven't expanded beyond their local satellite." Kazara's scales shifted to the deep purple of scientific curiosity. 8 billion. That's a surprisingly stable population for their development level. Most species at this stage are still experiencing exponential growth. "Interesting," Vexthor agreed. "Take us in closer." Standard stealth protocols. The Eternal Dawn glided through the solar system, its advanced cloaking systems rendering it invisible to the primitive sensors of the local civilization. As they approached the blue-green world, more details emerged. Atmospheric pollution levels lower than expected for their technology level, Kazara noted, studying the sensor feeds. Energy signatures suggest primarily renewable power sources, though inefficiently implemented. Curious. Their orbital infrastructure is odd, the tactical officer interjected. The satellites appear deliberately crude, almost as if. A massive energy surge interrupted the observation. Warning signals flashed across every display as the Eternal Dawn sensors detected power readings that should have been impossible for a civilization at this level. "Multiple vessels decloaking," the tactical officer shouted, their professional calm cracking. "Energy signatures off the scale." Kazara's scales bleached white with shock as massive ships materialized around them, their sleek hulls dwarfing the Eternal Dawn. The vessel's design was unlike anything in the Confederation database, combining organic curves with geometric precision in ways that suggested technologies far beyond their own. "We are being hailed," the communications officer reported, their voice steady despite the situation. Vexthor's command pod rotated to face the main view screen. "Accept transmission." The screen illuminated to show a human figure, female by their species' dimorphic characteristics. She wore a simple dark uniform with minimal ornamentation, but her bearing radiated quiet authority. "Greetings, visitors. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. Welcome to Earth's restricted space." Her smile was diplomatic, but held an edge of steel. "I trust you'll understand if we seem a bit protective of our solar system. We've had some unfortunate experiences with unannounced visitors in the past." Kazara's scientific mind raced to process the implications. The energy readings from just one of these ships suggested technological capabilities centuries beyond the Confederation's best achievements. Yet they had hidden all of this behind a carefully crafted facade of primitive development. "Greetings, Admiral Chen," Vexthor responded, his diplomatic training asserting itself. I am Captain Vexthor of the Helios Confederation survey vessel Eternal Dawn. We apologize for any territorial violation. We were unaware this system was claimed. No apology necessary, Captain. You couldn't have known. Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. Perhaps we should discuss this situation in person. Would you be willing to accept an invitation aboard the TDF Prometheus? We have much to explain. Hours later, Kizera found herself walking through corridors that challenged everything she thought she knew about technological progression. The human vessel's interior seemed to blend seamlessly with its crew, surfaces responding to thought and touch in ways that suggested an almost living intelligence. Your deception was remarkable, she said to their escort, a human officer named Commander Rivera. The entire Confederation believed humanity to be centuries behind us. Why maintain such an elaborate charade? Rivera's expression grew serious. Survival, First Officer Kizara. Humanity learned long ago that advertising advanced technology tends to attract unwanted attention. We prefer to evaluate potential contacts carefully before revealing our true capabilities. They entered a conference room where Admiral Chen waited with several other human officers. The Admiral gestured for them to sit at a table that seemed to grow from the deck itself. I'll be direct, Chen began. Humanity maintains the appearance of a primitive civilization because we've learned through bitter experience that not all advanced species share the Confederation's peaceful intentions. We've repelled 3 attempted invasions in the past century alone, each by civilizations that thought us defenseless. Impossible, Kizara blurted. Our surveys showed no signs of major conflict. That was by design. A new voice interjected. Kizara turned to see an elderly human male entering the room, his movements suggesting both age and authority. Admiral, my apologies for the delay. The council meeting ran long. Director Harrison, Chen acknowledged. Please, join us. Harrison settled into a chair, his eyes sharp despite his apparent age. What you're about to learn is classified at the highest levels of both our governments. Humanity's technological development didn't follow the normal evolutionary path. We had help. Help that came with warnings about threats you cannot imagine. As Harrison spoke, a holographic display materialized above the table, showing images that made Kizara's scales ripple with disbelief. Ancient ruins on distant worlds, artifacts of impossible power, and evidence of civilizations that predated known history. We maintain our primitive facade not out of fear or deception, Harrison continued, but because we serve as watchers, guardians against threats that nearly destroyed us once before. And now, First Officer Kizara, Captain Vexthor, we find ourselves at a crossroads, because our sensors detect something approaching from the void between galaxies, something that your Confederation needs to know about. The holographic display shifted to show a mass of darkness moving between the stars, consuming light itself. Kizera felt her scientific skepticism war with primal fear as she studied the readings. What is it? She whispered. The reason for our deception, Admiral Chen answered grimly. The reason we hide our true nature from the galaxy. And now, perhaps, the reason the Helios Confederation and humanity will need to work together. Because what's coming doesn't care about our differences or our politics. It only wants to consume everything. As the implications sank in, Kizera realized that her people's discovery of Earth wasn't an accident. Humanity had allowed themselves to be found. Because whatever was approaching, whatever ancient horror had driven them to hide their true nature for so long, was finally returning, and they couldn't face it alone. The archives. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that officially didn't exist, First Officer Kizera stood before a sight that defied everything she thought she knew about technological progression. The chamber stretched for kilometers, filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with impossible energy signatures. But it wasn't the size that left her speechless, it was the age. Carbon dating puts the oldest sections at roughly 50,000 years. Dr. Maya Patil explained, her dark eyes gleaming with barely contained excitement. The human scientist moved with the fluid grace of someone augmented by technology far beyond anything the Confederation possessed. We call it the Archive. Impossible, Kizura whispered, her scales shifting through shades of disbelief. Your species barely mastered powered flight a century ago. That's what we wanted everyone to think. Maya's smile held a hint of pride. The truth is considerably more complicated. Captain Vexthor, who had remained unusually quiet since their arrival, finally spoke. You didn't build this. No, Admiral Chen confirmed, joining them from a nearby transport pad. We inherited it, along with a burden we never asked for. The Admiral gestured, and the crystalline walls around them came alive with holographic displays. They showed scenes that made Kizura's scientific mind reel. Ancient battles between ships that dwarfed worlds, civilizations rising and falling across millennia. And through it all, a darkness growing between the stars. 15,000 years ago, Chen continued, humanity was visited by the last survivors of a civilization we now call the predecessors. They were running from something. The same entity our long-range sensors detected approaching your Confederation's border worlds. The void anomaly, Kizura recalled, her scales darkening at the memory of those readings. We call it the hunger, Maya interjected. The predecessors called it something untranslatable. What matters is that it consumed their civilization, along with countless others. They came to Earth as a last resort, hiding their most advanced technology in facilities like this one. But why Earth? Vexthor questioned. Why trust primitive humans with such power? Admiral Chen's expression hardened slightly. We weren't their first choice. We were their last option. Their ships were failing, their people dying. They needed a species with the right genetic markers to inherit their legacy, and the right combination of adaptability and determination to use it properly. The Admiral waved her hand, and the hologram shifted to show human DNA strands morphing, changing. They modified us, Captain, not to make us smarter or stronger, but to give us the ability to interface with their technology, to understand and use what they left behind. The predecessors died out, Maya continued, but not before teaching a select group of humans how to access their archives, how to understand their warnings. We've spent millennia preparing in secret, developing our civilization along two parallel paths, the public face we show the galaxy, and the true extent of our capabilities. Kizura moved closer to one of the crystal columns, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her caution. These energy readings, they're similar to what we detected from your ships, but orders of magnitude more powerful. The archive isn't just a library, Maya explained. It's a power source, a manufacturing center, and a defensive installation all in one. There are others like it hidden throughout Earth's solar system. Together, they form a network that's kept humanity hidden from the hunger's attention. Until now. Why reveal yourselves to us? Vexthor asked. Why now? Admiral Chen's expression grew grim. Because the network is failing. The hunger has evolved, learned to detect the very mechanisms we use to hide. We estimate we have less than 6 months before our stealth systems fail completely. When that happens, she didn't need to finish the thought. Kizura's scales paled as she processed the implications. The Confederation, we're not ready for this kind of threat. No one is, Chen agreed. Not alone. That's why we revealed ourselves to you. The Confederation's scientific knowledge, combined with our predecessor technology, might give us a fighting chance, but we need to act quickly. A new alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Maya rushed to a nearby console, her augments interfacing directly with the archive's systems. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations from the Kuiper Belt installation. The quantum barrier is destabilizing. Already, Chen's composure cracked slightly. We should have had more time. The chamber's holographic displays shifted to show the outer solar system. Kizura watched in horror as a tear in spacetime ripped open, darkness pouring through like living oil. In its wake, stars simply vanished. It's found us, Maya whispered. How long? Chen demanded. At current velocity, 72 hours before it reaches the outer defense line. Admiral Chen's expression settled into one of grim determination. Then we have 72 hours to prepare the Confederation for war. Captain Vexthor, your ship's quantum transmitter is more powerful than anything we could build without revealing ourselves. We need you to send a message to your high command. What message? Vexthor asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. Tell them humanity stands ready to share everything. Our technology, our weapons, our knowledge. Tell them an enemy older than our civilizations is coming. And tell them. Chen paused, her eyes fixed on the spreading darkness in the display. Tell them to send everyone they can spare. Because what's coming doesn't just want to defeat us or conquer us. It wants to unmake everything we are, everything we could ever be. Kizara watched the darkness spread, her scientific mind trying to quantify the unquantifiable. The Archive's crystal columns pulsed faster now, as if responding to the threat. In that moment, she understood why humanity had hidden for so long, why they had maintained their deception even as other species dismissed them as primitive. They hadn't been hiding out of fear. They had been preparing for this moment, building their strength, developing their technologies, waiting for the day when the darkness would return. Now that day had come, and the galaxy's greatest deception was about to become its last, best hope for survival. Maya's voice cut through Kizara's thoughts. Admiral, the quantum algorithms are detecting something else, a pattern in the void breach. It's trying to communicate. The darkness between the stars had found them at last, and it had something to say. Dark signal. The message from the void came not in words or images, but in the death of stars. Kizara watched in horror as the Archive's quantum sensors recorded the systematic extinction of every stellar body the darkness touched. Each death formed part of a larger pattern, a language written in cosmic annihilation. Translation matrix online. Maya announced, her augments processing data faster than any organic mind could comprehend. The Archive's encryption protocols are. Wait, this can't be right. Admiral Chen moved to her side, studying the flowing symbols. What are we looking at, Doctor? It's responding to our defensive algorithms, not attacking them, incorporating them, like it knows them, like it helped create them. The implications hit Kizara like a quantum shock. The predecessors, they weren't running from this entity. They were part of it. Correct, little scientist. A new voice echoed through the chamber. It came from everywhere and nowhere, transmitted through the Archive's own crystals. The voice was beautiful and terrible, harmonious and discordant all at once. They were our greatest achievement, until they failed us. Admiral Chen's hand moved to her neural interface, likely triggering silent alerts throughout Earth's defense network. Identify yourself. We are the architects of evolution, the gardeners of galaxies. The crystals pulsed with each word, dark energy crawling across their surfaces. We seeded the cosmos with life, watching, waiting, culling. The predecessors were to be our harvest's overseers. Instead, they grew, attached to their charges. The holographic displays showed new images, ancient worlds teeming with life, civilizations rising under the predecessors' guidance. Then came the darkness, consuming everything, except for a handful of ships fleeing toward a distant blue world. They corrupted our grand design, the voice continued, gave primitive species knowledge they weren't ready for, violated the natural order we spent eons crafting. And now their greatest sin stands before us. Humanity. Kizara's scales shifted rapidly between colors as she processed this revelation. The Confederation had always assumed they were among the oldest spacefaring races. Now she learned that every species' evolution had been orchestrated by beings older than time itself. You're saying this was all a test. Chen's voice carried carefully controlled anger. Every species' development, every civilization's rise and fall, just some cosmic experiment. An experiment nearing its conclusion. The darkness between the stars pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. The predecessors hid you well. Humans helped you develop in ways we never intended. But now you will serve your true purpose. Captain Vexthor, who had been silently monitoring the exchange, finally spoke. And what purpose is that? To be unmade, to be consumed, to feed the next cycle of evolution with your essence, as countless species have done before. The voice grew somehow colder. The predecessor's interference ends with you. Admiral Chen laughed. The sound was so unexpected that even the darkness seemed to pause. You know what I think, she said, stepping forward. I think the predecessors didn't interfere with your plan. I think they saw its fatal flaw. Evolution isn't about controlled development or careful cultivation. It's about adaptation, survival, chaos. The archive's crystals trembled as the voice responded. You understand nothing. We understand everything, Chen countered. The predecessors didn't just give us their technology. They gave us their knowledge, their memories. We know what you really are, a failed experiment yourselves. The first species so afraid of being surpassed that you decided to control all evolution that came after, to consume any civilization that might one day challenge you. The darkness rippled violently, and for a moment, Kizara caught a glimpse of something ancient and terrible behind its veil. Beings of pure energy, twisted by eons of consuming other species' essence. You dare, the voice began. We dare, Chen interrupted. Humanity has spent thousands of years preparing not just to fight you, but to replace you. The predecessors didn't choose us because we were special. They chose us because we were survivors. Adaptable, unpredictable. Maya's hands flew across her interface. Admiral, quantum signatures spiking throughout the system. They're preparing to breach our inner defenses. Let them come, Chen replied, her calm never wavering. Humanity remembers what the predecessors forgot. Evolution isn't about control. It's about change. She turned to Kizara and Vexthor. This is your last chance to leave. What's about to happen will rewrite the laws of physics themselves. Kizara's scales settled into the deep blue of resolution. The Confederation stands with Earth. Then let's show them what real evolution looks like. Chen's neural interface pulsed as she connected directly to Earth's defense grid. Dr. Patel, initiate the legacy protocol. Maya's hands danced across the archive's controls. Legacy protocol engaged. Warning. This procedure will fundamentally alter human genetic structure on a quantum level. There is no going back. Humanity stopped going back the moment the predecessors chose us, Chen replied. Now we go forward. Together. Throughout the solar system, hidden archives activated. Quantum energy surged through networks built over millennia, touching every human being. Kizora watched in amazement as Chen's form began to shift, energy crackling beneath her skin. Similar transformations would be happening to every human across Earth and its colonies. The darkness between the stars recoiled. For the first time in eons, the architects of evolution felt something new. Fear. You cannot stop what comes, the voice insisted, but there was uncertainty in its cosmic harmonies. Watch us, Chen replied, her voice echoing with new power. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our knowledge. It's our ability to change, to become something new, something even you couldn't predict. The battle for existence itself was about to begin, and humanity had just revealed its final, greatest deception. They hadn't spent millennia preparing to fight the darkness. They had spent it preparing to replace it. Evolutionary horizon. The transformation swept through humanity like a quantum wave. Kizara watched in awe as Admiral Chen's form stabilized, her body now a perfect fusion of organic matter and energy. Similar changes were occurring across Earth and its hidden colonies, billions of humans simultaneously evolving into something the universe had never seen before. Multiple breaches detected, Maya reported, her own form shifting between states of matter. The architects are pushing through our outer defense grid. The darkness between stars poured into the solar system like living ink, consuming everything in its path. But now, instead of fear, Kizera felt something else emanating from humanity's forces: anticipation. "Deploy the Phoenix fleet," Chen ordered, her voice resonating on multiple quantum frequencies simultaneously. "Execute contingency Omega." Space itself seemed to twist as humanity's true military might reveal itself. Massive ships emerged from dimensional pockets throughout the solar system, their hulls incorporating technology that made the Confederation's most advanced vessels look primitive by comparison. "Your evolution is an abomination," the architect's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You corrupt the natural order." "No," Chen responded, energy crackling around her. "We're fulfilling it. Evolution isn't about reaching a perfect end state. It's about continuous adaptation. Something you forgot eons ago." The battle erupted across the solar system. The architect's forces, beams of pure dark energy, clashed with humanity's transformed fleet. Ships piloted by newly evolved humans demonstrated impossible maneuvers, their crews now able to directly interface with predecessor technology in ways even their creators hadn't imagined. Captain Vexthor coordinated with the Confederation forces that had arrived in response to his warning. "Multiple quantum signatures approaching from the Carina arm," he reported. "The Confederation fleet is engaging the darkness." Kizera's scientific mind raced to process the combat data flowing through the archive's displays. The architect's forces fought with strategies refined over millions of years, but humanity's transformed ships responded with impossible adaptations, changing tactics and even their physical configuration mid-battle. Their learning, she realized, scales shifting to brilliant azure. Not just the humans. Their ships, their weapons, everything is evolving in real time. Maya nodded, her form temporarily solidifying. "The legacy protocol didn't just change our bodies. It unleashed our potential for continuous evolution. We're not fighting them. We're outgrowing them." The architect's attack faltered as they encountered something they hadn't faced in eons: uncertainty. Their perfectly ordered universe was being challenged by beings who refused to follow the rules of cosmic development. But victory wouldn't come without cost. Throughout the solar system, ships from both sides were annihilated in bursts of quantum energy. Each lost vessel represented hundreds of lives, human and alien alike, sacrificed in the battle for existence itself. "Breach an archive defense grid," Maya suddenly announced. "They're attempting direct insertion." The crystalline chamber shuddered as space torn open, darkness pouring through like liquid night. From its depths emerged beings that defied comprehension, the architects in their true form. They were enormous, their bodies composed of condensed dark energy shaped into geometries that hurt to look at. "Your resistance is meaningless." They spoke in unison, their voices shaking reality itself. "We have guided evolution since the first stars ignited. We will not be supplanted by our own experiments." Admiral Chen stepped forward, her transformed body radiating power that matched the architect's own. "You guided evolution into stagnation, consumed countless species to maintain your perfect order. But order isn't the point of existence. Change is." The architect struck, tendrils of dark energy lashing out at impossible speeds. But humanity's transformed defenders moved just as quickly, meeting the attack with weapons that channeled the power of evolution itself. The archive's crystal chamber became a battleground where the laws of physics were more suggestion than rule. Kizera and Vexthor found themselves fighting alongside their former hosts, their Confederation technology enhanced by emergency upgrades from Earth's quantum forges. Every second brought new adaptations, new strategies, as humanity's gift for innovation combined with their newfound evolutionary power. "The quantum barrier is destabilizing," Maya shouted over the chaos. "If it collapses, the archive's energy will trigger a chain reaction throughout the system." Chen's voice cut through the battle noise. "Then we make it count. Dr. Patel, initiate archive convergence. Captain Vexthor, get your remaining ships clear of the solar system. Kizera, thank you for standing with us." "Admiral," Kizera began, realizing what Chen intended. The energy release would change everything. Chen finished, exactly as the predecessors intended. Understanding dawned in Kizera's scientific mind. The archives weren't just repositories of knowledge or weapons of war. They were seeds planted thousands of years ago, waiting for the right moment to spawn something entirely new. As Confederation ships retreated to safe distance, humanity's transformed forces drew the architects deeper into the solar system. The archive's power built to impossible levels, reality itself groaning under the strain. The architects, too late, realized their mistake. "You cannot. We already have," Chen replied. "Evolution isn't about preserving the old. It's about creating the new. Even if that means destroying ourselves to stop you." The archive's crystals began to shatter, releasing energy that had been accumulating since the predecessors first arrived on Earth. Similar reactions spread through every hidden facility in the solar system, each release building on the others. The architects tried to flee, but humanity's forces held them in place, transformed bodies serving as living conduits for power that would rewrite the very laws of existence. As reality itself began to transform, Kizera's last glimpse was of Admiral Chen, standing proud among her people, facing the end of one evolution and the beginning of another with the same determination that had defined humanity all along. The solar system erupted in light that transcended the electromagnetic spectrum, and the universe held its breath to see what would emerge from humanity's final sacrifice. Beyond evolution, 3 months after the solar event, Kizera stood before the Confederation High Council, her scales a shifting pattern of blues and silvers that reflected the complexity of her report. The Grand Chamber, normally filled with the subtle movements and whispers of hundreds of representatives, sat in stunned silence. "The transformation continues to spread," she explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing the former human solar system. Where Earth and its neighbors had once orbited an ordinary yellow star, there now existed something that defied classification. A sphere of pure possibility, simultaneously matter and energy, past and future. "And you're certain there were survivors?" High Speaker Thorne asked, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns of concern. "Not survivors," Kizera corrected. "Evolution. What we're detecting from the sphere isn't human life as we knew it. It's what humanity became, what they chose to become." The display shifted, showing readings that caused several council members to recoil. Within the sphere, space and time flowed like liquid, shaped by consciousness that had transcended normal physical laws. The architect's dark energy had been transformed, integrated into something entirely new. "They knew," Kizera continued. "Admiral Chen, Dr. Patel, all of them. The legacy protocol wasn't just about fighting the architects. It was about becoming something beyond them, beyond us, beyond evolution itself." Captain Vexthor, now Admiral after the losses sustained in the battle, stepped forward. "The humans didn't just save us from the architects. They showed us that our understanding of evolution, of existence itself, was fundamentally flawed." The display changed again, showing the spread of subtle changes rippling out from the sphere. Not destructive like the architect's consumption, but transformative. Every species touched by these changes experienced accelerated development, unlocking potential that had been dormant for millennia. "The predecessors didn't choose humanity because they were perfect," Kizera explained. "They chose them because humans understood something the architects never could. True evolution requires chaos, uncertainty, even sacrifice. The ability to let go of what you are to become something new." A new image appeared, a transmission received from the sphere just hours ago. It showed beings that were barely recognizable as descended from humans, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Yet somehow, impossibly, Kizera recognized Admiral Chen's presence in one of them. "They're reaching out," she said softly. "Not to control or consume like the architects, but to offer a choice. Each species can choose to remain as they are or embrace transformation at their own pace. Evolution not as a guided path, but as an open frontier." The council chamber erupted in discussion, countless species debating the implications. Some feared this new paradigm, while others embraced the possibility of transcendence. Kizura understood both reactions. Her scientific mind still struggled to process everything she had witnessed. "There's more," Vexthor announced, silencing the chamber. "We've detected similar spheres forming in other galaxies. It seems humanity wasn't the only species the predecessors chose. They planted seeds across the cosmos, waiting for the right moment, the right understanding, to create something beyond the architect's vision." Kizura's scales shifted to deep purple as she delivered the final part of her report. "The transformed humans have left us a message. They say they'll wait. Watch. Not as controllers like the architects, but as guides for those who choose to follow. They say," her voice caught with emotion, "they say evolution was never meant to have an endpoint. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about eternal becoming." The High Council sat in silence, contemplating a future more open and uncertain than any they had imagined. The architect's rigid order had been replaced by infinite possibility. In the depths of space, the sphere that had once been the human solar system pulsed with new life. Within it, consciousness that had once been human explored realms of existence the architects had never dreamed of. They had sacrificed everything. They were to become something no one had ever imagined. And they had left the door open for others to follow. Kizura looked up at the transformed space that had once been humanity's home, her scales settling into a pattern of deep blue touched with gold, the colors of scientific wonder mixed with hope. The architects had sought to control evolution's end. Humanity had proven that evolution had no end. There was only the eternal journey of becoming. And now, thanks to humanity's sacrifice and transformation, every species in the cosmos could choose their own path along that infinite road. In the sphere above, beings that had once been human continued their exploration of existence itself, not as guides or controllers, but as examples of what was possible when you embraced evolution's true purpose, not the reaching of a final form, but the courage to continuously become something new. The Legacy Protocol had worked better than its creators could have imagined. It hadn't just saved the galaxy from the architects, it had freed every species to write their own evolutionary destiny. As Kizura left the council chamber, she looked again at the sphere that had once been Earth. For a moment, she thought she saw patterns in its shifting surface that looked like Admiral Chen's smile. Evolution, she realized, wasn't an end, it was a beginning.